Hello world, and welcome to LHA World's video tutorial on adding the Google Plus One button to a website. The Google Plus One button, seen right here, is a way of recommending websites and pages for Google search results. So you can kind of think of it as similar to Facebook's like button, only specifically for Google search results. Now a lot of you are probably thinking, that sounds pretty useful. How can I add one of those to my website? The good news is that this is a fairly simple process, assuming you know just a little bit of HTML and CSS, because all you have to do is go to Google, pick up a couple snippets of code, and then place those into your website, and you'll be ready to go. So let's walk through the steps of adding one of these buttons onto a web page. Here, we've got a local install of our site, www.lhaworld.com, that does not have a plus one button added to it yet. So we're going to walk through adding one of these buttons onto this page here. So the first step for adding one of these buttons that I'm going to have to do is to go to Google and get the code. So I'm going to go to www.google.com/+1/button. And that's going to take me to this overview page. On this overview page, there's a little bit of information about the plus one button. We've got a video here telling you some of the benefits and details. All useful information that I recommend you take a look at when you get a chance. But for right now, all we're concerned about is this part right here, where it asks us if we want to put the plus one button on our website. Yes, we do. So we're going to click Get the Code. This takes us to Google's plus one button code generator. Here we can create our custom button by changing the different customization options here. We've got a preview that will update what our button looks like as we go in and change the options. And then down here is the code that we'll need, which will also update as we change our options in here. So let's customize our button. To start off with, we can change the size to small, medium, tall, or the standard. The tall is the only one that has a different layout. We're going to use the medium size. We can choose from 40 different languages, but we're going to keep ours as English. And then we can go down to our advanced options. The example on the first website that we had didn't have the count, so we're going to remove the count by unchecking Include Count. Then these next three options here, asynchronous, parse, and JS callback function, we're not going to change anything on those, and we're not going to get into too much detail on these. Just know that more often than not, you're probably not going to have to change these options, and you can just leave them on their default. There are some instances where you might need to change one of those. For more information on those, you can check the FAQs down here or the full documentation page right here. But for now, we're just going to leave them as is, and then we're going to head on to this URL to plus one. This is something that's not always required, but it's pretty much always recommended that we fill out. There are certain instances where Google can figure out what button we are trying, or what page we're trying to recommend without us adding anything in here, but it's better for us to specify which page we are trying to recommend. So we are going to type in the address of our website, .com, and we're going to add that other W in there, so that's the proper website. And you can see here that it has updated our code with our options, size, medium, count, false, and then the URL that we added into there. So within this code here that it's generating for us, there are two bits and pieces of it. We've got here the part of the code that renders our button. So we put this where we want the button to show up on our page. And then down here is the script that basically makes the button work. So we need both parts of this code in order to make our button show up and fully function. So now that we've made the code for this, we want to add this code into our website. So I'm going to open up the file for this page in a text editing program. I'm going to use Text Wrangler. You can use any number of programs such as Dreamweaver, JEdit, or TextEdit, or many others. I'm just having to use Text Wrangler right now. And I am going to then add this code into my website. Now here's where the HTML and CSS skills kind of come into play. I've already done some of the background legwork by creating a div and the corresponding CSS to place this code into so that it will appear exactly where I want it to on the page. We're not going to go into how to do that right now. But just know that this will be something that will be involved in adding it into your website. So now I'm going to go back. I'm going to get the tags that I want to render the code. I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to paste it into my div container. And now I've got the part that renders it, but without the function, the script, it won't show up or work properly if it somehow does show up. So now I've got to go back and get that second part of the code, and then I'm going to add that in after my last instance of the rendering tags. Alright, so now that I've got both parts of my code in my website, I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to go back to our page that doesn't have it, and then I'm going to reload it, and there's our +1 button. Now this page is ready to be recommended into Google search results. And there you have it. It's that simple. Thanks.